I'm Sadie Waxman, and today I'm going to be presenting one of the most iconic landscapes on the planet, and that is no other than the Grand Canyon National Park. So when people think of the Grand Canyon, most of the time they just think of a really big, deep hole in the ground that's been here forever. But it's much, much more than that. And today I'm going to be digging into the information and teaching why that is. I will be focusing on the two main pillars of the park's identity: its incredible geology and its rich natural history. Located in northern Arizona, the canyon is massive. It stretches for 277 miles. That's longer than the distance from New York City to Washington, D.C. At its widest point, the canyon is 18 miles wide while being a whole entire mile deep. Because of this depth, the climate changes drastically. If you're standing on the northern rim, it might feel like a cool forest. While if you're down by the river, it can be a whole entire 20 degrees hotter, feeling like a true desert out there. Geologists love the Grand Canyon because of the rocks. In the Grand Canyon, there are so many different levels of amazingly preserved rocks. At the bottom of the canyon, you can find Vishnu basement rocks. These are almost 2 billion years old, nearly half the age of Earth itself. As you move up the canyon walls, you literally walk forward in time. You will see layers like the Bright Angel Shale and the Red Wall Limestone. Most of these layers were formed by ancient seas that flowed in and out of the area millions of years ago, leaving behind sand, mud, even the fossil of sea creatures that you can still see in the rocks today. A very common question is, how did it get so deep? So, a geological event called the Lombard Orogeny pushed the entire Colorado Plateau upward. This event is called the uplift. Once the land was high up, the Colorado began to flow, acting as like a saw. Through a process called downcutting, it sliced through the rising rock. While the river cut down, wind and rain eroded the sides, making the canyon wide. It's a perfect example of the power of water over stone. If the rock layers are the canvas on the canyon, the Colorado River is the sculptor. It's important to understand the power of downcutting. The river essentially acted like a giant saw, slicing through solid stone. This was made possible by the role of gravity. As the land was pushed upward, the river gained incredible speeds and force, allowing it to cut deeper into the earth. Even today, this is a living landscape, with the river carrying 500,000 tons of sediment every day to continue the erosion process. Perhaps the most interesting, the river's path has exposed the Great Unconformity, a mysterious geological gap where nearly 1 billion years of the rock's records have completely vanished from the canyon walls. The Grand Canyon is one of the most biodiverse places in the United States. This is because of the 5 different zones. Let's get into them. The riparian zone, this is the lush green ribbon at the very bottom of the canyon. Because of the constant water from the Colorado River and its tributaries, this zone feels like an oasis in the middle of the desert. You'll find water-loving plants like Vermont cottonwoods, coyote willows, and invasive tamarisk trees. This area is critical for wildlife. It's where you'll find canyon tree frogs, beetled kingfishers, and various species of fish that have adapted to the river's unique silt and temperature. It is the most vibrant and life-filled strip in the entire park. The Desert Scrub Zone. Just above the river, the environment turns into a harsh, hot, and dry landscape. This zone is defined by extremes. where temperatures can soar well over 100 degrees. The plants here, like the crescent bush, mormontea, and various cacti, are experts at water storage and have small or waxy leaves to prevent moisture loss. You might spot colored lizards sunning on rocks or black-throated sparrows fitting between the brush. It is a rugged environment where every living thing has a specialized trick to survive the heat. The woodland zone. As you climb higher towards the rims, the air cools slightly and the landscape shifts to a scrubby forest. This zone is dominated by pinyon pines and Utah Jupiter trees, which are short, hardy, and can live for hundreds of years. This is the transition area of the canyon, where you start to see more mammals like bushy-tailed wood rats and rocky squirrels. It smells like pine and dust, and it serves as a massive pantry for park's birds and animals who rely on the nutrients-rich pinyon nuts for food. The Ponderosa Pine Forest, found mostly on the south rim and the lower elevations of the north rim. This zone feels like a classic mountain forest. The Ponderosa pines are famous for their tall, straight trunks and bark that smells like vanilla or butterscotch when it gets warm. Because there is more rainfall and snow here, the ground is often covered in grasses and wildflowers. This is where you're most likely to see the Kaibaba squirrel on the north rim or the Abert squirrel on the south rim, as well as mule deer grazing in the clearings. The boreal forest is both the highest and the coldest zone. It's located primarily on the northern rim at elevation above 8,000 feet. It feels less like Arizona and more like Canada or the Rocky Mountains. The forest is dense with Engelmann spruce, sublime fir, and quaking aspens that turn bright gold in the fall. Because of the heavy winter snowpack, the growing season is short. This high-altitude sanctuary is home to animals like the snowshoe hare and the mountain chickadee, representing the peak of the canyon's vertical journey. There is no doubt that the Grand Canyon has a rich natural history, but let's take a look at its human history as well. The Grand Canyon has been home for at least 11 different tribes for over 12,000 years. These tribes have a deep ancestral and spiritual ties to this landscape. The Havasupai people are one of the 11 tribes. Their name literally means people of the blue-green water. They are unique because they still live in a tributary deep inside the canyon today, accessible only by foot, mule, or helicopter. For them, the canyon is not a park. It is their kitchen, their pharmacy, and their sanctuary. It's truly their home. Another example of a tribe that makes the Grand Canyon their home is the Hopi. The Hopi tribe believes in the Sipiapani. It's a spot where their ancestors first emerged into this world. So to these tribes, the canyon isn't just a place to visit, it's a living relative. When we walk around the trails today, we're walking on the paths they carved centuries ago. Understanding their heritage changes how we look at the Grand Canyon and the whole park itself. It transforms from a geological wonder into a sacred home and requires our respect and protection. As we wrap up today, I hope that you were able to see the Grand Canyon National Park as so much more than just a big hole in the ground. It's a masterpiece of geological uplift and erosion that gives us amazing insight to our Earth's and planet's history. It's a sanctuary for diverse wildlife where life has learned to thrive in different conditions. The Grand Canyon is a place of culture, holding the stories and spirits of people who have called it home for so long. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that this inspires you to one day stand at the Grand Canyon and see it as so much more as a big whole and see it for all of these amazing things. Thank you so much.